Alright, this bottom node, it's not on your notes, I gotta update that, is middle mouse button, click and drag, default. And what happens here is you get your camera point. So I got my camera point Z. And that gets into my input 1Z. And you notice if you double click this node, what happens here is camera 1 or point Z is 0 right now. Okay, that's fine. It actually needs to be 0. It's a null field, but I need to plug that in anyway. So even though it serves no numerical value whatsoever within the node tree, it needs to be put into place stating that it is actually 0. Alright, so up here, just make sure these are on multiply. So I got multiply here, and I got to multiply here. So I got 88 and 0. Alright, now start some wacky stuff with subtraction and adding. So I need 2 of these. These are average nodes. And I need these to be subtract and add. There we go. Alright, now what happened on this end is it needs to get the value over, but the problem is there's no blank space for it. So we need to add those blank spaces to it. Under here I got input 2D, and what I need to do is just add 2 fields here. And those are my inputs. Notice I can have as many as I want, making this a very interesting node to work with, because it looks boring. It's math, right? Because that math is boring. But really, it takes the average of many things within your scene, and it'll take them all together and do the calculation. Okay, so this one. And I'm just reconfirming some of this thing over here on my other laptop here. Okay, so now what I have is middle mouse button, click and drag over, and I have other. And what I need here is the output Z to input 2DX. So if you notice, there's two 2DXs, because underneath both these, I have 2D0X and I have 2DYX. Okay, so that is actually the 2DX, 2D1X. There we go. And that gets confusing too. So, you know, if it all bounds, you know, you can actually go in here and rename these. Oops, 2D1X, not 2D0X. There we go. Close that out. Okay, next, let's see what we got. So I see some things I got to update in my note structure here. In here, middle mouse button, click and drag up to the A, default, and this is going to be distance times input 0x. Just like that. Now if you look down here, I have 2 numbers popping up, 642 and 88. I want to show you what those numbers represent, because it's very important that as we go along here, you kind of see what's going on. So it's taking the distance here, and it's also getting the scale of that 1. Okay, good. Just keep in mind that's how it's getting those numbers. Now if I middle mouse button click and drag it here to here, I need other. And this I'm going to actually connect twice. And if you're using Maya 2011, for sure, you'll see this yellow node pop up. Not like my notes that has two separate strings attached here. So this one needs to be output Z. And it's going to get the 2D1X. And it's also going to get the 2D1Y off that output Z. So let's close that. And you can see now it has a yellow connection. Yellow in Maya 2011 states that there is two calculations being pulled from one node. You're like, God, this is freaking amazingly complex. Yes, and that's what makes it fun. Middle mouse button, click and drag to default. This is distance. And 2D 0Y. Alright, now down below, I need to take this one, middle mouse button, click and drag it, the default, and that one's going to be output Z to input 2D0X. Okay, so let's step back for a second and kind of look at what's going on here. It's taking this one, and I get 88 from the scale. I'm getting the 642 and then the 88. This one I'm getting the 642 and 88. Alright, let's stop the video and go on to the next step.